This involves Robert Troutt, who yesterday was charged with additional counts involving an alleged plan to set fire to MacArthur's nightclub. Troutt is standing by live at one of his businesses in North Little Rock with our Live Eye unit. Bob, since Bill MacArthur is a part owner of BJ's nightclub, he's Bob Robbins' attorney, there's naturally going to be some speculation that you're involved in this car bombing incident. Have you had any contact from the authorities about it at this point, or do you have anything to say about that?
Well, I haven't been accused yet, but I expect to be because I've been accused of everything else lately. Of course, I have nothing to do with MacArthur's business or his family or anything else. It's just some more of these harassment charges on the part of some of the police. But I don't know the lady. I hope she's not hurt.
Mr. Troutt, do you feel that somebody's trying to set you up?
Well, anything's possible. I've been set up, you know. As far as I'm concerned, I've been set up on all of these charges.
Bob, Sheriff Robinson has indicated, he hasn't mentioned your name specifically at this point, but he has indicated that he feels there may be a connection between going back to the beatings, the arson fires, and now the car bombing. Do you think there's a connection in these things, or are these just isolated incidents?
I think there's probably a connection, but since I really had nothing to do with any of it, I would have to speculate like anybody else. But I do know that some time ago, I believe several years ago, there were some nightclub owners that were shooting at each other, supposedly over the drug traffic business in Little Rock. And it would be pure speculation, but sure, that's entirely possible.
Mr. Troutt, Bill MacArthur was also the attorney for Mrs. Ron Orsini. Her husband was killed last year, and she was questioned and cleared by a grand jury. Do you know the Orsinis?
No, I've never heard of them. Of course, I've read the name, and I believe when all the controversy about Mrs. Orsini and the death of her husband came up, it's just another name that I had read in the newspaper. I wouldn't know them if they were staying right in front of me.
Okay. You've told us before, Bob, that you had your nightclub up for sale now. Have you found a buyer yet?
I've had a couple of offers, but it's not going to be something that I do overnight. I do feel that I would be wasting time and money if I tried to reopen right now, especially because of all these raids and arrests on me personally. So if I opened the club again, I wouldn't want to embarrass my members and their guests by having armed deputies coming in looking for me on these things.
Well, the reason I was wondering about the club sale and all that, this must be costing you quite a bit of money in legal fees. Do you know how much it's cost you so far?
Well, the bonds so far are $200,000. They put another $50,000 on me yesterday, as you know, and normally the rate of a bond is 10% of the face value. So, sure, I have no income now at all from anything. This liquor store you're talking about belongs to my wife. That's entirely her business. So, yeah, if they're out to bust me, they've done a good job of it.
So it has affected you financially. How has it affected your personal life?
Well, frankly, when we go to bed at night, we wonder if we're going to make it through the night.
I've seen you on the street a few times in the last few days, Bob, but I'm just wondering if it must have had a tremendous impact on just your day-to-day, minute-by-minute routine.
Well, it particularly has a great effect on my little girl. I have a little girl, 5 years old, who's going to a kindergarten-type school, and I worry about her. She worries about me, even though she's only 5 years old. And it affects my wife, who is running this business. She's afraid to drive to town herself, and she's afraid to go home, like I say. It's really a bad situation when you're afraid to go to bed in your own home and go to sleep thinking that somebody's going to roust you out at 4 o'clock in the morning and point shotguns down your throat.
After the last time you were arrested, you and your attorney indicated that you were going to sort of fade away from here so that you didn't have to worry about that happening. I don't know if you want to say where you are, but are you back in your home now, or?
Well, I've been in our home most of the time. I've been fishing a couple of times, and I've been to see one of my attorneys in Hot Springs, but I'm always within an hour's notice of appearing in court should I be called. No, it's really a bad situation. The sooner it gets settled, the better off I'll feel about the whole thing.
Have you done anything, Bob, to increase your own personal security?
No, we have a dog that we had 2 dogs before this raid out at our home. a few weeks ago. One was a Doberman that was trained as a guard dog, He was poisoned a week before this happened. We have another dog that's a Great Dane that was there, fortunately, behind a fence on the morning that the sheriff's deputies came out at 4 a.m. And I'm sure they would have shot that dog if he had been loose, because he was trying to get at them through, you know, he's trained as a guard dog, as a watchdog. So we sure don't want to lose him.
Bob, we're out of time. Let me thank you again for taking the time to be with us, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.